Okay, going live. We should be live. So hello everybody. This is kind of an LNbits meetup stroke chit chat, just exploring and shilling the software and talking about some of the developments and the developments which have been happening over the Hacksprint, because there's a couple of bounties which have been put out there and people have claimed them, and there's some interesting extensions which are being developed for LNbits, which is going to even more so, widen the use case of LNbits and what LNbits can be used for. For those who don't know what LNbits is, it probably makes sense that I screen share and then just quickly go over what LNbits is, and then we can just get to, kind of just chatting for the people who are here, chatting about LNbits. I've also got a couple of demos I won't mind doing, because the developer Jaff, so probably the main core dev on LNbits right now. He put in a great PR for adding webhooks to invoices. So when you generate an invoice to be paid, as soon as it's paid, it will just send the data, the transaction data, to the webhook. So that's really, really useful for developers especially. So I won't mind showing that in action. So yeah, I'm going to share my screen. We should probably hit the YouTube chat as well, actually, and just make sure that people can actually make sure we're live. I'm pretty sure we are, but I'll just check anyway, and they can hear us. Okay, so LNbits, what is it? Well, it's primarily just an account system, so you can split up your Lightning funding source, which could be a node, or it could be a custodial service like LNpay or OpenNode. You can split up that one account which you're using of theirs into lots of little accounts, and then you could use those for either different customers, or you could use them for friends and family or yourself, or for devices which are maybe connecting to LNbits. And then as well as that, we also have a whole bunch of extensions which just add like bolt-on functionality to LNbits. So there was quite early on, I remember when LNURL came out, I made this thing called the Sinclair FOSS, and it was just a way of creating a Lightning Network faucet using LNURL, and it was a useful little thing, but it didn't make sense to make it open source because it was a bit messy, and it was just kind of floating around on its own as a tool. So it kind of made sense that there's something which we can like bolt on these extra tools, a bit like, people hate the analogy, but a bit like WordPress. You start off with a very simple system, and then you build it out in whichever direction is useful to you. So we've got LNbits running on LNbits.com, and you can use that for sort of a playground just to experiment with it. Don't use it in production, because I might just run away with all your money or break it. So I can just make a wallet in here. Like, that's how easy it is to make a wallet. Now, the way it works at the moment is we don't have a login system. That will come one day. So you just have this URL, and in this URL, you've got your user ID, and you've also got like your wallet ID for this particular wallet. So you just bookmark this. And then you can do, whatever, all usual Lightning wallety stuff in here. So I can create an invoice, and then my phone turned on. My phone's turned off, so I can't actually pay the invoice yet, but I'll turn my phone on and I'll pay it in a moment. You can send funds to it. You've got these extra extensions here, so we can make a paywall for a website. So someone has to pay an amount of satoshis and they can access a website, or you can set up a point of sale system. So this is cool. This is a shareable point of sale system. So this is really easy to set up too. So if I with my cafe point of sale and then connect it to that wallet, and then which currency I'm going to go for euro, even though I'm in Britain. I'm just going to pretend that Brexit didn't happen. I'm going to create my TPOS. Okay, now here's a shareable link. I can share this with colleagues. They can use this point of sale on their phones. It looks great on a phone. And they can't access any of my account data from this. All they can do is like input an amount in euros, and then press OK, and then that will just generate an invoice, and they can pay the invoice. Let's see if phone is turned on yet. Oh, I think I've run out of battery. This is an absolutely awful demo, isn't it? Let me get my my Telegram up. I'll stop sharing for a second so I don't like dox myself. And then let me move this over here and I'll start sharing again. Where are we? Okay. All right, cool. Now I'm getting my Telegram up because when I'm playing around with this stuff, I find like LNTXbot is just the most useful wallet. I'm saying that. Oh, I can't scan it. Someone want to, right there, if I close that, if there's someone out there, I'll tell you what, I'll put on for a penny, 46 sats. Someone want to pay this invoice, and we'll see if someone in the audience pays this invoice for us. Or not. Can't believe my phone's not got any charge. I'll plug it in. No one's paying it. That's a shame. Right, I'll plug my phone in, and then I'll I'll go back to that demo in a moment. Here we go. Where are we? Yeah, so terrible showmanship. So yeah, you've got a whole bunch of extensions, and you can send, you can receive Lightning transactions. The new feature which was added is that, so basically all the functionality in these are all the transactions I've made which haven't been fulfilled yet. Oh, there we are. Someone paid it. Oh, what a champ! Someone paid that. Thank you, whoever that was, paid that invoice. So now we've got 46 sats in our wallet. All the functionality of LNbits, because LNbits is also designed so it can be part of a stack of software. So you can just check and make sure I'm still streaming. So where are we? Here we are. Ooh. Yeah. So you can use it as part of your stack for sending and receiving Bitcoin transactions over Lightning. So we include API info for pretty much all functionality. So for basic wallet functionality here, we can see we can create invoices, get wallet details, pay an invoice. And then similarly, in a lot of the extensions, there's also the API information. It's kind of good practice if you make an extension for LNbits to add the API calls, so people can use that then in their software stack for whatever they're developing. We can, let's have a little look here what we're doing. Right, so if we create an invoice, so instead of using the GUI here, a piece of software could just do a post request, and we can see here that we've added a webhook, or VHF added a webhook, so we can add in a URL there, and then it will send data to instantly to that webhook once the invoice has been paid. So if I open up a terminal and literally just paste that in there, there we go. And yeah, it's got my API key for this wallet, and then the URL string. So if I use a service such as what's this? This is Pipe Dream. Yeah, I want to use the other thing. What's the other thing? Here we go. Just if I delete that. Right. So this is just a webhook.site where you can get a URL so you can test your webhooks. I'm going to copy this to clipboard, and then I'm going to paste him in there. Memo. Let's put a memo in here, shall we? And amount. So 100 sats. Enter. Okay. So, this just did a post request to LNbits.com, and then it just got back a payment request, which is for that, we'll go to that particular wallet. So if I take this payment request, and then if I pay for it on using my LNTXbot. All right, cool. And there we are. It's registered as paid, and you can see that in this webhook.site here, we've got this nice JSON. It's got all that transaction data which has come through from LNbits from that transaction being paid. So you could do, all sorts of stuff with this. It's a great way for triggering things to turn on, or your software to easily and quickly recognize that an invoice has been paid if it's using LNbits for handling its Lightning transaction stuff. So it was really, really cool. I'm looking forward to experimenting with that. There is also, as well, I added, which I was going to cover in the support tickets extension. I did also add So if I make a new form, so this is, a paid support ticket. So I'll link it to that same wallet. What should we call it? LNbits, meetup, webhook. I'm going to pop in. In fact, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you if I got Discord. Internet. Not internet. Must be internet. Yeah, it's Discord. If I open up Discord, it's already open. Oh, there we are. Right. If I here we go. If I'll make a new server. So create a server. Me and my friends. Create. Okay, cool. If I go to edit channel integrations, create a webhook, copy the URL for that webhook, and then if I put new form, LNbits means to put the webhook in there, pay sats to ask a question, amount per word, 10 sats per word, create form. Here's a shareable link I can give out to people, and they can fill in their details. And then hello world. Can submit that. Copy invoice. I'll pay that using my Analytics export again. Right, and then when it gets paid, boom. Do you see that? So the Discord webhook connected to my LNbits just received that, that message, which was typed into the form here. The transaction data which is sent through this webhook is a lot simpler than the transaction data sent through this webhook, but it kind of performs a similar functionality and could be quite nice for, if you want people to ask you questions and then those questions just pop up in your Discord, or you could get it to,
a whole spam-free email server with that, where you the only time you receive emails is if somebody pays you sats, and then if it's not spam, you just send them their sats back.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Or if there's I don't know, someone who's an expert on some topic and their time is quite limited, say Christian Rutzel, for example, on his Raspberry Blitz. He's a really nice guy and he loves helping people out, but his time's limited, and if he put up a form and someone could ask him a question about their Raspberry Blitz, then he could email them back with an answer, and they just have to pay so many satoshis. I like the idea of those microtransactions for paying microtransactions for people's time, small lumps of time. So yeah, it's a great sort of spam preventer of spam.
You have what are the API settings for that particular?
For this one, I think despite all my rhetoric, I think for my own extension, I haven't even put the API calls in the in here. I should get on with that. I'll get on with that later today. Actually, it's quite embarrassing.
It's a great function, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, a really great function. But I mean, you can also obviously use the. In saying that, I mean, the great thing about that is you're able to fill out a form and then have the data be sent. Whereas with the transaction, you're really just getting the transaction data which comes through. But shall we have a little look at in fact, I'll share screen again and we'll go have a little look what's going on in the, because obviously this, is all part of the Fulmo Hacksprint, the Lightning Hacksprint, which is going on at the moment. And I'm going to show our LNbits channel here. Here's Fairdraft suggestions here for extensions. So as part of the Hacksprint, we've added some bounties, 4 bounties, which are available for people developing extensions. And a bunch of people have claimed those extensions and they've been working on extensions. One of them is really exciting, which is, I think it's actually one of the many Fairdraft suggestions at the top. Let's have a look. It was for domain names. Domains and subdomains. I hadn't really thought this one through until somebody started working on it. So they've staked and it's a new dev as well. And it's always great to get new devs working on their bits. But it's, so the idea is that, you could have a domain and then like, I don't know, lnurl.com. I've got lnurl.com. I can install LNbits on it. And then I can limit the access to LNbits to just myself, and then using the subdomain extension, I can create a public-facing form which someone fills in, with their server details and the subdomain they want. They pay an invoice, and for the amount of time they want it, they pay an invoice, and then they get, I don't know, gifts.lnurl.com pointing at their server. So it could be a really nice and easy way to accept Lightning transactions for selling subdomains. And I think the guy's just using Cloudflare's API. So I suppose my domain registrar would have to be Cloudflare. But he's just using their API to do that. But it could be great for people running nodes and they want a public-facing URL for a node. You could have raspberryblitz.com, and then I could grab ben.raspberryblitz.com, and then I can use that then to access my node. I'm not sure about HTTPS, I suppose, but how that would work, I suppose that depends on the actual. Yeah, that's your server, isn't it? You just run your certbot or whatever, or your caddy, and you get your HTTPS that way. So that's really cool, and that's being worked on right now, which is great. And what else have we got going on? Adding Eclair. We need to add Eclair as a funding source if somebody wants to do that. And that should be relatively easy, I think, because we've got all the other funding sources as templates. Feature requests. What else have we got? Web shop. Oh yeah. Talva Senselos, who actually got the TPOS extension and LNbits up and running. He created a shop called Spark Store, which is pretty good. Yeah. So, and what was the other suggestion which someone came up with? There's a couple of them have been claimed. Oh yeah, that was it. It's Umbrel, the node software for easily spinning up an LND node. Kind of gives you a nice GUI platform. They're adding apps to their software, and one of the first apps they've added is LNbits. So there was a bounty for that, which somebody claimed, but then it worked out that somebody's already pretty much done it. So that's good. So soon we'll be able to just install Umbrella, and then there'll be like a one-click install of LNbits. So they've Dockerized it as well in the process of doing that. And I know VHF as well has done a binary file for LNbits, so it should be easy to kind of do a quick install of LNbits. I think he's trying to make a .exe or .app as well, or so some other. I mean, which I think all that's great. Like the more people who can easily set up an LNbits, how you connect it to your funding source gets a little bit tricky. Maybe we'd need some sort of GUI for that. Yeah, so it was Fusion 44 who started working on it. So apologies to Fusion 44 because we didn't realize that somebody else had already done it. Let's have a look, see if there's any new messages in here. No, just me just going on about how I'm looking forward to selling domain names or subdomains, sorry. Oh, in the process of that, actually, something which we thought might be quite good is short URLs. So say if you've got LNbits, say if I've got LNbits.com, I could, if I make a public facing page like this and I want to share it, then I could QR code this URL or share this URL in Twitter or whatever. But it's quite nice, like if, you're doing a live stream to say, go to LNbits.com, links /LNbits meetup. And then that will, in the back end, there'll just be a database entry which just connects that short URL with, or pretty URL with this ugly URL here. So that could be another extension, quite a nice extension, just short URLs or pretty URLs linked to these ugly, well, not ugly, but, IDs for a lot of these public-facing pages. So let's stop sharing, and I'll just, if there's anyone out there who's got one person willing to talk. So what have you sorry, who was it who said hello before? Oh, we got Super Testnet. You've joined. There we are. That's good. How's it going, man?
I'm not sure what did you want me to say?
I don't know. You say something. How's
No, I thought Sphinx Chat was going to do something with this as well, right? That was
yes.
Can someone talk about that?
That's it. Well done. Thank you. Yeah, Sphinx Chat. I don't really understand how it's going to work, but they gave LNbits a shout out in their talk on the on their Sphinx Chat sessions. So anyone who doesn't know Sphinx Chat is sending messages through the Lightning Network. And they said they liked the idea of trying to somehow connect LNbits to Sphinx Chat. So, so I suppose so we could use the protocol, I think primarily for podcasting, I think.
They do use it for that, but my suspicion, not having listened to their talk yet, would be that there would be a plugin for LNbits that once you install it, it allows you to then kind of speak the same protocol that they do, and send messages to to Sphinx users, receive messages from Sphinx users, interact with the podcasting application. Basically a light client of this that looks like Sphinx Chat, but it's within an LNbits installation. I think that's my understanding of what I'd like to see anyway. I imagine that's what they're talking about.
So would that wouldn't be dependent upon you running LNbits on a node? You'd have to run it on a node, would you? Or can you just send, so say, could I connect my LNbits to LNpeg and then send these messages? Yeah, because it's just running through the Lightning Network.
Right. Whatever funding source you hook it up to would need to have support for the messaging protocol.
I see. So you could use your LND or your C Lightning or whatever, but using some custodial, whether or not you'd be able to get those through or not.
Yeah, unless there's some way of parsing the return to data. I think some of the funding sources like OpenNode doesn't actually give you that data, So I'm not sure how that would. I imagine it wouldn't work with OpenNode, but let's see what they come up with, right?
Yeah, and they're pretty good as well if we bug them. Although in saying that, they still haven't added the hash thing yet. So what was it we needed to OpenNode were blocking something? Description hash, I think it's no. I can't remember. But we were asking them to implement something for some reason, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, it's for LNURL Pay. So we could use LNURL Pay, the LNURL Pay extension, when you connect LNbits to OpenNode. But they restricted access to it for security concerns, but none of us could quite understand what the security concerns were.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for various funding sources to only supply a limited amount of information, and then that kind of restricts the functionality that we can use with those ones. Like, well, this extension doesn't work if you're using, LNpay or OpenNode or whatever. And maybe you can light a fire under some people to, if people are saying, well, I couldn't use OpenNode because it didn't support this extension that I wanted.
God, that's true. We could have a very a name and shame functionality where it's like there's a big cross on the extension and it says your funding source does not support this extension. OpenNode does not support the functionality in this extension or something. Get people to contact those funding sources.
Put right under it. Click here to bug them.
yeah, like an instant link to their email, to the support email. So how's the WordPress plugin coming along?
Well, right now what I'm working on is a PHP class that allows PHP to talk to LNbits, and that takes a lot of the LNbits functions and common extensions and makes a way for a user, a PHP developer, to call a simple function that takes like 3 parameters, and then they can talk to all these different extensions and LNbits instances. And the next thing we're going to work on with that, I've got support for through PHP functions. You can create a wallet, delete a wallet, create an invoice, pay an invoice, and check the status of an invoice. And then what I'm going to work on next is implementing the webhook functionality that Fiat Jeff just added, so that in addition to paying an invoice, you can also specify in the function what parameter you want to, or what URL you want to hook to, and that will make it easy, I think, to develop additional PHP plugins that do stuff with this class. That make you could make a whole LNbits wallet within a PHP extension or within a WordPress extension. So
Wow, that's cool.
All the cool things you might be able to do with that. That should be coming out around the middle of January.
So the coveted WooCommerce funding source with that webhook being added could maybe be possible.
I misheard you. Could you say it again?
The concept of having LNbits as a funding source for WooCommerce, if
as a payment method.
Funding source.
That's one of the things I look forward to. I'll get to that after I finish the class. Using the class for additional software to be built on top of it. But right now, kind of making it so that WordPress can talk to LNbits in an easy fashion is kind of the first step.
That's super cool. Yeah, really good. And then it's that's a useful library for the people to be able to get access to and use. Everyone gives PHP a hard time. I like PHP. It's just that black box of functions which does stuff, server side. It's great. For a while, for those who don't know, I've really, really wanted to be able to, because I've got the gigawatt.co. I don't really sell much on it, but I'm using OpenNode, I think, as a payment method for when people want to buy stuff. And obviously, B2C Pay, they offer that functionality. You can use their WooCommerce plugin or to pay for something over Lightning or Bitcoin and just connect it easily to your shop or your WooCommerce shop. But LNbits currently hasn't got that yet. So it's great that you're developing that super, because it'll I suppose not just WooCommerce as well. Then you can use that functionality in other PHP shop platforms, which I imagine there's a few of out there. But I think WooCommerce is the main one.
Yeah, getting it working with WooCommerce would hit a huge segment of the market. And I'm not. I know that WooCommerce has integrations with Shopify, for example. So I don't know how that would work. I'm not the one I've only ever used WooCommerce, but I'm sure that once you have it working with that, there's other things you can do with it. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I was just gonna shell. We got people watching. So Super Testnet made this Ace thing, which I love. B2C paywall. So you can it's just a WordPress plugin, so you can add a paywall to your blog, so you can only reveal a certain amount of information in your blog, and then they have to then pay. It's a bit like Yols, if anyone's ever been on Yols before. The functionality is similar to Yols. In fact, I can probably just get it up on I'll stop sharing for a second, so don't do any doxing. I'll probably just get it up on my shop, because I think I had a demo running, but it was like a really early version of it. So let's see if it's still running. Let's hope so. Tutorials, here we are. It's a bit Inception, this is. Here we are, how to make an LNbits BTC paywall. So I want to read the rest of this article, so I paste that to read more. And is my phone turned on yet? It's ridiculous. Copy, and I'll do the LNTX. But where's my Telegram? There it is. Pop that in there. Pay. It's really snappy as well. I like the way that the invoice just. Oh, there we are. Look at that. I paid, and boom, I get access to the rest of the document here, the blog. I love it. It's brilliant. I imagine not enough people know about it. The B2C paywall WordPress extension you made. Did you manage to get into the WordPress? Oh, he's gone. Got embarrassed by all the praise. There was some plan of getting it into the official WordPress plugins repo thingy, but I'm not sure how much traction we got on that. But again, another super useful development which was made for LNbits. So absolutely love it. What else is there worth talking about? So that I think that should pretty much. Oh, here we are. Yeah, I was just saying, Super. I was saying, did you manage to get it onto the official WordPress plugin repo?
No, when I submitted it to them, they complained about me not following WordPress standards, and I have not yet made it comply with WordPress standards.
That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, so I apologize for that.
No, come on now. It's You see some of the plugins which are on WordPress, within some of the code behind it. I'm surprised that yours didn't manage to get on there. What sort of the standards was it? It's just like the file form, like how you lay the files out or whatever.
No, there's they didn't like that I used the PHP curl extension directly. They wanted me to use the WordPress version of that, which is WordPress remote get. Because then that works even if the user doesn't have PHP curl installed. I guess you can use another method.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. They didn't like that I had my own version of jQuery in there. They wanted me to use they wanted me to call jQuery from the built-in WordPress.
Well, that sounds fairly simple. I know you're busy at the moment, but it's free and open source, isn't it? So anyone listening now, if they fancy making a very valuable contribution and going in there, and that I'm sure that will be appreciated.
Absolutely, yeah. I made it a public domain, so feel free to take it and run with it. Anybody?
Yeah, super useful. If not, then at some point we'll get around to it. But there's so much more fun stuff to make. I always think like with Lightning Network. In fact, now you're seeing these more sophisticated apps being developed, LNbits being one of them. It feels like a lot of that low-hanging fruit, which was in the within the Lightning Network, which made it very easy to just have like an idea and then build something and then that thing to be useful. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit. I feel like quite a lot of this has been plucked. And now there's some really sophisticated and useful clients and bits of software out there for people to use. But obviously, there's still plenty to be built. And LNbits is why we love it, because we can you can just make an extension. You've got all that basic wallet functionality there. You can create invoices, make payments, check invoices, and if you just want to build an extension, so you want to be able to sell subdomains, for example, using Lightning Network, then it's just a case of basically making a form which requests an invoice, you pay it, and then some data stored in a database. And then you'll communicate with the
thing about LNbits is that it acts as an abstraction layer for all the different implementations.
That's true as well. Yeah, it just sort of normalizes, and you don't have to make it implementate. You can just build something for LNbits, and that it will then work for a whole bunch of other implementations. Yeah, there was, and it was a great idea as well, was to abstract that out of LNbits, the funding source stuff. There was going to be a separate project which we're going to call Conduct, which is a great name, and because it conducts the funding source to LNbits, and then also it's like conducting, like a conductor. So Conduct was going to, there was something similar to it. I think it was called Feather something. But basically, it was going to be like a library to connect to a whole range of funding sources, and then we were then going to use that library, a bit like what you're doing now with the PHP, I suppose. Like you make a library that people can use in their software, and then you then also use that in your own software to build something. So maybe in 2021 we can start working on that. That'd be cool. And useful for people. So I thought you were going to say something. So yeah, if no one's got anything else to say, I think that kind of catches us up on LNbits and what's going on with LNbits. Great work. Let's see what 2021 comes up with. There's exciting to see all the extensions and also seeing it pull in more devs and them finding it useful. In fact, there was someone who has an exchange was contacted me the other day about using LNbits as part of their stack. So hopefully more people will be doing that as well, like using LNbits as a back-end solution as part of their stack. So I'm looking forward to seeing that happen as well. So yeah, if you haven't used it, go install it. I'll just do another screen share quickly, and then I'll show how easy it is to install. Where are we? Here we go. So on the LNbits repo, if you go to the install guide, and that's it, copy that, paste it into your terminal, make sure you've got Python installed, Python 3 installed, and I think that's pretty much all you need. And VN as well. There, on the World Crypto Network, there is a whole bunch there's a playlist called LNbits, and there's some tutorials on how to install LNbits. I think the most recent tutorial, I got it installed on a VPS with the domain name and everything and HTTPS, and it took like 15 minutes to install. But if you're just running it on your computer, copy that, stick it in your terminal, and you should be away. You may have to install venv actually, but I think that's pretty much it. I think that's what you need to install, and then the rest of the dependencies are in requirements, which of course you can go check if you want to. If you want to do developing on LNbits, there's a slightly different install which uses pipenv to install, but again, it's just like just a few lines which you pop into terminal. There is one more note when you install LNbits. If you want to do some of the webhook stuff, so another big change we had a few months ago is we've got our asynchronous webhook requests as opposed to just doing polling funding sources. So sometimes for that backend wallet, you might need to change a couple of things, but that's all covered in here. It won't take you long to do, and that means that you can make use of those that nice snappy webhook stuff. And yeah, it's it's easy to run, easy to install, lightweight. It's a nice lean piece of software, and we're adding to it all the time and building new extensions and functionality into it all the time. So it's exciting to be a part of, and looking forward to what 2021 provides. Stop sharing. If this it's a short session, but it was fun catching up, and maybe we'll do this again or something in a couple of months' time. But I think that's it. I think I've mentioned everything worth mentioning. So thanks for watching, and toodaloo. Right.